I think that what's interesting is that it is something that we can use as a tool as designers to help us know how to interact intuitively. If the and one of the, I did a floor cleaning robot was one of the projects that I worked on at Smart Design, a competitor to the Roomba for a company called MeetUp Robotics. And you know, one of the things that we were doing was putting together a sound palette for all of the things that the robot would have to say. And so we were studying the existing robots out there and also looking at what people said. And what was really fascinating, and there's a paper that was written by some folks at Georgia Tech, where they found that people tended to forgive the robot more than they might have if it didn't have this kind of personality and expression. And the Roomba kind of does this little sound if it's stuck in a corner, and it does this little like uh-oh. And so when we were designing this new robot, we definitely like built in some of those responses. And what was really interesting that the Georgia Tech researchers found is that, yeah, people, when they were actually asked to talk about it, they kind of forgave the robot for, oh, you know, well, it's okay that it got stuck. And you also, if you read Amazon.com reviews, they're kind of remarkable. Like some people will say, there he was eating the socks again. So I think it's just an interesting tool, part of our palette.
All right, this is for Carla. Sorry for the larger question. So when I was a kid, I got a Tamagotchi, and I got a Furby for Christmas one year. And I remember I kept Furby in my closet. I was a little creeped out by it, but like in my closet, like at nighttime, like you would just hear like random like I love you. I'm scared, and like you know, like these are like weird things that happen to a 9-year-old. But I mean, like digging a little deeper with that, like do you think there's any issues or concerns from you as like a developer of these robots? What things like this, like social robots, will have on like early childhood development, like the ones that are marketed towards young children, and people, kids that aren't able to parse out the difference between like real and robotic and fake, and just like how we think about intelligence and cognizance and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's
Oh yeah, I think it's a huge issue. I mean, what's very interesting to me is Cynthia Brazil, who's often one of the pioneers that we talk about in this field from the MIT Media Lab. She actually had kids herself, and then her work in the last few years had been starting to be more around robotics and education, and actually these robots that kids interact with. And so that actually makes me excited that somebody who has kids, and I mean, not that you need to have kids to be designing that kind of thing, but that there is research happening that is being very sensitive to kids and is being very proactive. But yeah, I think it's a huge responsibility as designers, and I think it's not even just in the physical embodiment of robots, but I'm collaborating with a toy designer right now, and we were recently having a conversation where he was saying, there's something different with kids in terms of the virtual world. Like for us, that's a very different place, but they kind of are able to go back and forth. Like that exists in a way that's much more real than it exists for us. And yeah, we're programming these things to be entities and tug on our heartstrings and take advantage of emotions. And there's a lot of scary in there too, I think, and yeah, I think that robot ethics is a valid pursuit.
We have time for one more.
You mentioned a 3D rendering program, Rhino, and another one that you used for 3D rendering. Which one was that?
Oh yeah, I used Cinema 4D, which is very popular with animators. A lot of the PhD students were also using Maya. Yeah, there's lots of those out there. But Cinema 4D is a really good animation program.
Why don't we wrap up that with that? But stick around. Definitely, no one has to leave. Again, get your wine, and I think if you guys can stick around for a little while, I think people will want to come and ask you questions. Thank you so much. We'll be back. We'll be doing our next event early in the new year, probably on 3D printing. I think is the. So stay tuned, and thanks again.